We're going to be talking about popcorn and healthier toppings for popcorn. Here's some oregano in here, nutritional yeast and Himalayan pink salt, garlic powder, parsley. James will be having a sardine sandwich and a plum.
Yeah.
And probably some pickles on it because he likes to do that.
Could be.
And Saskatoon sour cherry smoothie.
Yeah, there we go.
And I guess I'll get started talking about that. Oh, we're going to be talking about money and banking a little more. This isn't going to be the last time we're going to talk about it, because we'll also talk about some other things.
Yeah, we will, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, make James's popcorn first. And what I've been doing with my popcorn is I've just been, normally I wouldn't even eat popcorn. It's not a healthy, it's often promoted as a health food. You can eat it plain and it's not very many calories, whatever.
Yeah, but how many people do
but there's, and what's the nutritional value? If you're eating things with no nutritional value, it's not healthy. So anyway, or little nutritional value. But how I've been eating it lately, I don't know what got me into it. I think it's the hiking and lack of salt or something, sweating so much. But so I'll lick my fingers, dip it in the nutritional yeast and salt, and then grab a few popcorn kernels.
That actually slows you down. Did you know that?
Yes, it
you
does.
get closer to my
And then I'm not eating any fat with it. But normally it's so much. Like I'll make it with some olive oil today so you can see. But anyway, I'm going to do a little bit. James is going to be different. What I've been doing lately,
and it works.
Is putting the Himalayan pink salt and
don't worry, it doesn't make the popcorn pink.
Yeah, with omega-3 oil, but not this stuff. I've been using the apple flavored one on the nutrition.
Which is kind of a little bit different, but it's not really that weird.
So this time I'm going to use the lemon flavored stuff. And that's about a teaspoon worth, I think. So it's about the serving size or whatever. And I'm going to put a little bit of the Himalayan pink salt with the nutritional yeast. Get a bit cheesy. And a little bit of garlic powder. I haven't opened this one before. Slowing me down in my presentation of things. This was given to me. I normally would never buy the things like this.
Expensive, eh?
It is. It's very expensive to buy it this way because you go through a lot of it. Let's see. I can't find any ingredients on there. I'm guessing it's just garlic. It's just and some parsley.
Could you buy that in bulk or something like that?
Yes. And you can make it. All you do is dry out some garlic and grind it up.
See, there you go.
And you have garlic powder. So
you don't have to buy those containers. I mean, the containers got to cost a fortune.
Yeah. You can use whatever you want. Yeah. So, and for mine, today I'm going to use this just to show you how much oil. Like, normally, this is what I will sit down and eat. This size of popcorn. And that is not the size James will eat when he sits down and eat popcorn. No. So,
I might eat even more than what you got in the blue bowl.
Drizzle, 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 drizzle.
See?
And I don't think that's a huge amount of oil that compared, like that's what people would use, right?
Well, it adds up. Theater,
when you
who
look
knows
at
what's in there? Rancid butter?
The calories, like I think I put 2 teaspoons on there. And that's what it says is per 2 teaspoons. So that's what they're suggesting as a serving size. And 80 calories right there. But the thing is with me is there's some saturated fat in there, and it's
a little tough on you.
Little tough on me. So that's why I try to avoid oil as much as possible. But if you're gonna use oil, if you're gonna in eating, then just put it on cold. So after you're done cooking whatever food, drizzle it on. So then you're conscious of how much is on there. So that's the one thing about making like microwave popcorn or something like that, you're not conscious of how much fat you're actually eating. It's just already on there for you. Or if you're cooking with fat, then you're thinking, well, the fat somehow it's not in the food, because you play these little games with yourself to try to convince yourself of things, right? And that's what people do.
The other reason to put it on cold is you don't want to be cooking certain oils.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Cold pressed, it should give you an indication that perhaps it's healthier to keep it cold.
That's fairly easy to do. You don't cook it up, you just add it later, right?
And that's so yum. So good.
Now you want me to eat a piece of this, right? I didn't strategize this well.
Doesn't matter.
I got a full mouth. Anyway, here goes everything. Tasty. What can I say?
Does it taste
way
like
better
Greek
than
salad?
a little bit.
Good.
Actually, it
'Cause that's what
does.
I was
The
going for.
aftertaste. Pain
Yeah.
came through. The sardine was kind of
Competing with it for a minute there.
competing.
Yeah.
But now I can taste it. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Whole lot better in theater stuff or imitation theater, like I guess we could mention Orville Redenbacher kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Better in theater stuff. Theater stuff, I don't think they ever clear out their butter. It just gets more and more rancid.
I don't.
I don't know either, but that's what it smells and tastes like.
So, this is my favorite topping. Is just salt, and I have to admit, when I do prefer it with the oil. But I've been eating it lately just without the oil, just dipping my fingers in the, and it's good too.
She's going to be
just
trying
doesn't-
this on my recommend, though. This is very It's cute with
yeah.
the green on it,
I know.
and it does taste good.
But the reason that tastes like Greek salad is because it's lemon flavored omega-3.
Yep. Okay.
And that's a part of Greek salad dressing is lemon. Usually it's lemon juice, extra virgin olive oil, garlic, and what do you call it? Oregano.
That's intriguing. You better just say you got a copyright on this, right? Because other people might be stealing ideas. All 1.5 people to watch it.
But this just gives you an idea of how you can be creative. There are lots of different flavors of the omega-3 oil. If you put it on cold and you're eating it right away, well, why not, right? Why not do this? Why take this and you're as a spoonful and you're like, oh, this is terrible, when you can actually make it taste delicious.
Yep.
And then you can maybe convince yourself a little more easily that your popcorn is health food.
There we go.
So, we'll talk about money in baking. And I would recommend this great course.
Yeah.
I'll say that right away. I'm going to be complaining a lot about it,
No.
as will James. But the guy is doing a good job teaching what is commonly thought in this field, right? So
It's teaching you the basics.
yeah, and really at the beginning he says people have a tendency to sweat the small stuff, and what did he say? Something about
Well, I can't remember. It's slough over the big stuff.
yeah, something like that. And so anyway, that's really what's happening with the economics, with
Is
a
what
lot
he's doing?
of yeah.
Or what they
Is
do
what they
generally?
do. What they do generally is they rate it when you're starting in. I've taken a few economics classes in university, and you have too, but different ones than I did.
I would have taken more macroeconomics,
Yeah.
which is what he's doing. You would have been taking business from
Yes.
microeconomics. I did take one microeconomics course, and of course introductory, which was half and half.
And anyway, so they start you off. You're in an economics course, and you're doing calculations and stuff like that. You're whatever, just the same sort of stuff that he's showing you here. without looking at the big picture of things, and definitely they try to use real people sort of examples. Like he's using Pat, and I think Pat's
Jean.
twin, is it Jean or Jane? Something like that.
And then Jean does some work with Joe, some trading.
Okay, yeah. So
not part of the family.
No. Anyway. And some of the examples when you're taking economics courses, you're like, this doesn't make sense. Hot dogs are junk. And hot dog buns are like the worst bread ever, right? They're just awful.
That's
and
a classic
so why
example
would
they use?
They always use that. And it's so what they do is they say, well, since these things go together, when the price of one goes up, the other one goes up too, or whatever. And so, because you need both of these things, right? Together. And it just, anyway, when you take an economics course and you get that example, you'll be like, this doesn't make any sense, but you know what you're going to have to put on the test, and you do that, and whatever. And you do very well in economics, because it's really not that complicated when you sit down to it. What they're wanting you to do, you just regurgitate what you're taught. It's not that hard. Now, thinking about the reality of economics is actually quite difficult. So
yes, it is, especially for them.
Yes, and
because they're tempted by money.
Yeah. So I shouldn't have done the popcorn thing, because now I'm eating the popcorn.
Yeah.
I love the popcorn.
See, there you go. That's the best advertisement. The cook is eating the stuff and enjoying.
Okay. So one thing he was talking about, stock market, like buying shares in a company, right? When you're thinking about buying stocks, you're like, I'm like a little owner of this big business, and somehow it makes me big and powerful. And it's not what it is, right? The owner, the CEO, is going to make sure that they have 50% of the shares or whatever, so they're always the owner of the company, and they've made all the decisions. And really what it is, when you buy shares in a company, it's like you're a silent partner in a company. And I'll give you an example of one business that I knew. My ex worked at a pet store, and there were when I went into the picture of that, and there were 3 partners who weren't silent partners. They were actually there all the time. And then it got crazy. One of the silent partners left, and it was left with 2, and then, anyway, it got worse. But one of the not silent partners, there were other silent partners, and they were getting hosed. Like, the business on the books was losing money. It was not losing money. It was very, very successful. And a lot of the profits were just taking money.
It's basically
at the end of the day. And so and it was obvious to anybody who was there what was happening. It's not like they were hiding it. And but the silent partners, they weren't getting anything out of it. They weren't there to see it, so they didn't know. So on the books, losing money. And another thing that was going on with that is they were doing things like, each of one of the partners who were there all the time, they had different things. Like one guy was importing fish, like huge importer of fish, and he was then selling to other pet stores and whatever. He was very successful. That was his business before he started with the pet store, and so that continued to be his business on the side, and that was his business, right? And so they would like my ex would get to work in the morning and clean out a bunch of dead fish, and some of the fish were very, very dead, and he was like, God, why is he putting them in? Because then he's making the other fish. He knew what was happening, right? He knew that whatever fish were dying in that guy's import business were then getting dumped in the fish tanks at the pet store, so he could charge the pet store for them, and then the pet store was having to throw them out because they're dead fish, right? So so that was happening, which was insane. And then the rest of the fish that were already there were getting sick because he was putting dead fish in the fish tanks in the middle of the night. and everybody knew about that too. So, but not the silent partners, right? So they're getting so hosed.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you buy stocks in a company.
Oh, absolutely.
Why would you think that you're an owner of a company that doesn't know you at all and you're not
Doesn't
there
care
to
about you.
It's ridiculous.
It's just
don't think that.
abusing
And so
and
then there's
misusing
like there's it's opens up a whole bunch of other people who will exploit you though. So not only are you getting exploited as a shareholder from this company, but you're getting exploited by the people who are selling you stocks from this company. Do you see?
Yeah.
So it's actually quite comical. If you think about it logically, you know, this might not be really profitable for me. And sometimes people do profit off of stocks, but not as much as they honestly should. And you know that all the time going into it. You know that logically that you're not going to profit as much as you should. You should know that.
You should, but most people don't.
Okay.
They see 100% returns over a year, and they say it's going to be this way forever.
Yeah.
And of course, in the business papers, they'll have fake experts saying, "Is it possible that it'll keep on that?" The stock market has finally settled down, that there will be no more corrections, as they say, or whatever, you know. And I'm going, wow, people are just lapping this up, and this is how you end up with stock market bubbles.
So I'm going to call her Patient Pat, or him. It was him, Patient Pat. And Pat has a sister who is. He should put her up for adoption. She's reckless.
Is this Jane?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Jane, whatever her name is.
Jane.
So,
it's Jane. You're right.
Yeah. So, Pat and Jean or Jane have a grandmother who gives them a bond or something like that, and it matures in 10 years. Some sort of thing that it matures in 10 years. Anyway, they can't get any money before. They can't get any money after. It's just at maturity date they get the $10,000. So, and they have to split it. And Jane, I'm just going to call her Jane, even if it's Jean, I don't know. I don't care. She says to Pat, well, I want the money now. Just, you should pay me the $5,000 now, and then you get it later. And honestly, if anybody said that to you, you'd be like, Jane, you're such an asshole. Or you should say that, right? So Pat's thinking, well, I would get interest on the money if I just kept it in the bank. Why would I give it to you now? So he's looking into how can I be fair, because he's an amiable person. And he's already saved. He has money saved up in the bank. He has enough he could buy her out. But so he's trying to be fair about it. And Jane is a business owner. She wants to put the money in the business because she's yellow. And anyway, I'm making this up. You'll have to watch the thing to see what you think of these people. But anyway.
Well, I think you're fairly accurate.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
he didn't give that in the course.
No. The psychology is pretty basic and stupid, really.
But the fact of the matter is passive people, especially amiables, but passive people in general, they're going to work hard. If they get stressed out or depressed, they're going to work harder. And what are they going to do with the money? They're going to put it away for later. They're cautious, right? And they want to be careful about things. And aggressive people are not as careful. And
Especially with other
yellows
people's money.
are reckless.
Well,
so
they're useless.
Anyway, so the reality is that when you look at banking, like right now, my grandmother called me last night, and she's talking about how she was looking at her bank statement. She couldn't believe how low interest she was making off a huge amount of money for her. I mean, a yellow would blow through that in short order. But she's been saving that up her whole life, doing things like mending people's clothes for them and stuff like that. So she's been working hard, and very hard, and picking wild blueberries. Even though she has really bad pain, and she's allergic to the sun, but she goes out there and she does that, and people will pay her $5 for a pail of wild blueberries that she's taken hours to pick and clean.
Picking domesticated Saskatoons.
Yeah, so
we picked domesticated Saskatoons.
Yeah.
It was several hours out in the sun.
Yes, but amiables, they'll work hard like that. So she's worked hard her whole life. She's saved up money, and she has this money in the bank, and it's not making her interest. It's like almost nothing now.
Well,
and
it would be below the rate of inflation.
Yes.
Which means she's losing.
She's losing money. So anyway, so she noticed this, and I doubt that she's ever taken out a loan on anything. But if the amiables take out a loan, it will be for something very sensible, like a house, because you need to live in a house, or something that they desperately need to get the job done, or whatever. It will be something sensible, and they will make sure that it's paid off in a timely fashion, and because they don't like being in debt. They don't like. They worry about things. So, whereas the yellows, they don't. So they will borrow. They'll be maxing things out on credit cards. Buying designer pants that they don't even pay attention to what the interest rate is on the credit card, and they're going to end up paying they might buy, I get 10% off sale on these designer jeans, and it's like, yeah, but you're buying it on a credit card, so you're paying a huge amount for that pair of jeans when you finally pay it off. It's ridiculous.
And you didn't need them in the first place.
Exactly. So anyway, but
and
the
of
thing
course
is,
they're great at borrowing from family and never returning
never returning it. They're terrible. Because probably what would have happened is Pat would lend out Jane, or buy her out, and then Jane would somehow cash it and take it all in the end anyway. But anyway, so what was I going to say about? So what banks do is they will take money from a bunch of amiable people who are really good at saving money. Amiable people work like crazy, save money, and live on very little. They just live on what they need, basically, and they believe in working hard. So then those amiable people, the money that they put in the bank at a very low rate of interest, so they're making almost nothing on it, and the bank lends out their money to people like Jane, who are bad with money, who are aggressive types of people, and
they do it at exorbitant rates.
They do it at huge rates, right? So then patient Pat is sitting and he's collecting his interest in his bank account, and he's hoping that the bank doesn't go bankrupt or anything like that. He feels safe, though. He feels safe. The banks have been around for a long time. He doesn't, it doesn't really cross his mind so much that maybe they're going to go belly up and they're just going to take his money and run. Or
take the government's money and not even run.
Yeah.
Just sit around in their fat, booty-eye maximum.
Yeah, because they're taking their cut, is the thing, and it's huge. They're taking their cut off of, not their money, off of Patient Pat's money.
Yeah,
off of all the amiable Patient Pats who have their money in the bank, they're exploiting them. And they're paying them nothing for it almost.
Well,
and the thing is when you have an economic time,
because they're losing to inflation.
Mm-hmm.
Understand, the bank is making money.
The bank's making money, but Pat is losing. Yes. So all the amiable people that have, and the thing is it's viewed as the big CEOs, the people with lots and lots of money. They're the ones that the system is run off of, but it's not. It's run off of all the little amiable people, because together they're the ones that save. They're the ones that work, and they're the ones that save. The CEOs are not working, they're exploiting, and they're not really saving.
Some might
save, but they're not. It's a game of exploitation, and they're not going to be risking any of their money for people like Jane. It's all about them. The Reds it's all about themselves, their power, right?
Their
And-
power and their riches.
Yeah.
But it
with
comes down more to power.
And so then with the whole system, the whole economic system is actually run off of the amiable's backs. It's off of their labor and it's off of their savings, and that's it. That's it. And when you have a system like right now, it's getting exploited, and the people who are actually working are getting paid less and less and less. They're having a harder time saving. So what will happen? It's obvious what will happen. You can't have a system where the people who are working are not paid enough to save and then expect that the money is just going to somehow materialize and things are going to keep running.
It's a classic pyramid scheme, which is illegal, except for this pyramid schemes run by the mojos who run the system, run it into the ground, really.
No, anyway. And honestly, what's happening James and I are talking about what's happening right now with COVID, with the economy. This is leading up to causing racism to, like, it's people who wouldn't be racist are going to be inclined to blame somebody for what's happening, and there will be people pushing, it'll probably be yellows, will be pushing amiable people who they've been busy working. They haven't had a chance to sit down and actually look into the reality of what's happening because they've been so busy working and working and working. And so is it their fault when they're led to believe something by yellows who are really, really good at marketing?
Pushing in there.
They're great at that. So anyway, it's a pretty bad situation.
So Pauline was talking in preparation for this about what happened in Germany in the 30s in reaction to the economic downturn, severe, of the early 30s, and the following, the concomitant, and also following unemployment. Unemployment tends to be a hangover effect, as well as a kind of like a direct effect of economic downturn. So there's a carryover, and it was appalling in the 30s. So you had people in Germany being led to believe that this was all a function of capitalist Jews. No, or it was all the cause. Well, the number of Jews that would be capitalists would be small in Germany. It was the fault of capitalism, just like 2008, and all the garbage that's come since then has been largely the fault of capitalists. So the unemployment, Arab Spring that turned into a fall and winter, Putin crushing dissent in Russia and using his hackers to spread populism in Europe, spread populism in the United States, here in Canada possibly too, and Donald Trump getting elected, Bernie Sanders helping deliver that vote.
But the reality is the people who are to blame for the economic